1 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 1 1 1 1 1 2 3 4 1. Whoa, no copyright strikes? Not yet, I guess. 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4. Copyright strikes? Not yet, I guess. Ah, man. Yeah. What is happening?
This game looks pretty as fuck, though. I'll tell you that.
Mickey.
This game looks pretty as fuck.
Oh man, did I do this meme right? Despacito 2. They actually announced it. Beethoven announces music too. Lol. He keeps uploading. He keeps uploading new stuff. Are they making money out of it? They need, right?
14 or younger is early, and 19 or older is considered late. So here, a late bloomer is a person who's 19 or older is considered late. So here, a late bloomer is a person whose sexual talents or capabilities weren't visible until they became adults. According to the Guttmacher Institute, a third of people in the US are late bloomers. They have sexual experiences later than their peers, but that doesn't mean their growth is stunted. Just like a person who reaches puberty later than others, they might grow just as much, if not more, than those who started earlier. A study of over 3,300 participants found those who had sex later were significantly more satisfied with their sexual relationships than those who started having sex earlier. Basically, sex could be even better if you start having it later. Here's some questions I've received from late bloomers about sex. What advice do you have for late bloomers who are dealing with sexual repression? Find someone like you, maybe even online, and talk about your similar experiences. Hold each other accountable for taking small steps and support each other during the trials and successes. How will I know what to do? I think that putting together a want, will, won't list for your sexuality is a useful way to first figure out what you want to do. Essentially making 3 columns on a page. 1, your wants are all the ideal pieces of your sexuality. Then there's a column, your wills, that you consent to but doesn't necessarily excite you. And finally, the won't column is comprised of hard limits. Your absolutely nots, don't ask me agains. Work Work toward putting 30 items in each column. This will help you become less repressed and more sexually aware, and it will expand your sense of options beyond where you are now and what you're afraid of. I'm a mature adult, but I don't know how to approach sexual conversations. Sure you do. Sexplanations. I regularly receive messages saying I can talk about these things with my partner, parents, friends, etc. more easily because I watch you do it. I put all of our videos in a chronological playlist so you can just let them become the background noise to cooking dinner and cleaning house. It'll be like language immersion in sex talk. How can I tell my partner about my lack of experience? When people start relationships, many of them fret about the who have you been with previously conversation. What if the other person is more or less experienced? How will I compare? What will they think if I tell them the truth? These are all fears, mainly that we can't control what another person thinks of us. Approach the conversation as if you weren't trying to control the other person or the outcome. Speak your truth, embrace reality, know your worth as a person, and strike a balance between confidence and beginner's humility. You could say something like, I want to impress you sexually, but I may struggle at first because I haven't done this before. Or I'm eager to learn how to please you. What's one thing I should avoid doing, and what's something else that turns you on? Is it going to hurt? I hope not. If it does, stop what you're doing and problem solve. Muscle strain? Use a sex swing or sex cushions to raise your partner up. Friction? Spend more time getting aroused and add and problem solve to raise your partner up. Friction? Spend more time getting aroused and add lube if needed. Too tight? There are dilators ranging from the size of my pinky to the size of my wrist that can gradually make things wider. I love the story from Eve Ensler's Vagina Monologues about a woman in her 70s who never looked at her vagina and never had sex. She avoided what she called her down there out of fear she would ejaculate some sort of flood or have an accident. At 72, after some therapy, she went home one afternoon by herself, lit some candles, took a bath, played some music, and she got down with herself. She said it took her over an hour because she was arthritic, but when she finally found her clitoris, she said she cried. If the pain is emotional, visit with a compassionate therapist. If it's arthritis, consider a hands-free vibrator. I don't want to be with someone inexperienced. Why would anyone want to be with me? There's actually a study that validates this. Late bloomers perceive they are less desirable than their peers. And in actuality, they are. The research found it is more difficult to obtain sexual and romantic relationships because of the stigma. But you are not just your sexual inexperience, you are all of your characteristics and mannerisms. You nurture those things that make you an awesome person and you alter the ones that don't. There's so many variables that impact a person's attraction to you and their interest in having ridiculously fun sex with you. No, really, why would someone want to date a late bloomer? I've slept with 3 people who hadn't had any sexual experience before we started dating. I wanted to date them and have sex with them because they were kind and cared about me. Plus, I was horny and wanted to have sex with them. The result was amazing. No complaints. The quality of a relationship and sex, for me, and I think most, isn't dependent upon someone's experience. It's about chemistry, attraction, and desire. What will make it good? Being attentive, in tune with what the other person is asking for. And just because you're having sex later in life doesn't mean you aren't chock full of sexual knowledge and skills. Hopefully you know how to listen and communicate, you know how to show respect, how to comfort someone, and what to do to protect yourself. You probably even know anatomy and physiology, and most importantly, you're resourceful. So unlike your peers who navigated sex in high school without much guidance or wisdom, you know where to get the right answers when you feel uncertain. I think it's important to remember we didn't all come out of the womb knowing how to have sex. Just like learning grammar and how to tie our shoes, we had to start somewhere. Learning comes from being curious. Stay curious. Having playthings is one way to nurture your sex life. Use promo code DOE when shopping at adamandeve.com to get 50% off anyone eligible
how many partners
free shipping anywhere in the US.
Male ejaculation.
We talked a little bit about female ejaculation here. Squeezed into the urethra. Okay, you stay there. Getting on. Contract. Muscles in this region coordinating to force the semen out. Typically, the more contractions, the more fluid there is, but quantity of semen also varies for other reasons. Time since last ejaculation, age, condition of the species. If the fluid empties into the bladder rather than coming out, it's called a retrograde ejaculation.
Oh my god, I don't know.
Males experience this in their lifetime. Super common. I'm going to do a whole episode on it here. Feel good. Even if it's separated from orgasm, there's still pleasure in the release of fluids and pressure of the engorged penis. Stay curious. Pre-ejaculate is also a type of ejaculation, a droplet or 2 of clear fluid from the Cowper's gland sent out before the semen to neutralize any urine that passed through during last piss. There should not be sperm in this fluid unless it was picked up there from leftover last ejaculation, but HIV and pre-ejaculate, yes.
Jesus. What the fuck? I'm so confused right now.
Podanie, strzał, golara.
Słucha, myśli, odpowiada. Sprawdź promocję.
Yeah, and also I think, you know, you said some of the
Frozen?
other Disney animated films that are sneaking in interesting ways, right? You said like
A little bit more practice.
Oh, great to see you. Thank you, Paul.
Yes.
Yes.
This is sort of new to the series where every Keyblade is going to have a couple different.
What a
Amazing
boring
games coming up over
shit.
the next.
Oh my god, why am I walking? No, I can't. Why? 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 No. I don't care about any of these games. They will be all garbage. Like 1 year ago. Garbage, 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 garbage.
What you've done is make you, the player, be the Senate. You recruit generals from all these powerful houses and have to watch them carefully to see that one of them doesn't become too powerful and attempt to overthrow you. Any armies led by that house will join them, and they will get a percent of your empire correlating to the percent of influence they hold in the Senate. Or perhaps you assign them provinces to govern over like how you could in King Arthur. I mean, you ripped everything else out of that game, why not this? Instead of a civil war being a one-time only event, it should be something that will happen constantly if you manage your generals badly. For the other factions that are monarchies, they should have given you the family tree, but make your relatives very precious. So you recruit generals so you don't lose family members to wars, but again, risk having a general become too powerful or just become too disloyal. Literally just copy the system from Shogun 2. Next, they should have made it perfectly clear what was needed to be done to fix the problem. None of the politics in Rome makes sense. Assassinate enemy, lose ex-senator support, yet after doing it I don't lose the amount they said. I've actually gained some. Adopt a character, nothing changes. Marriages, I don't know what the fuck's happening there. Assassinate every fucking person apart from your family, still have the exact same influence scores. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Instead of this gravitas shit, they should have attributed senator support directly to the characters. This character has 50 senators supporting him. Assassinate him, he's the sole eligible member of his family left, all the senators go and support other people. I want this character to be more supported, pay money and win senators over from another general. That would have been a far more direct and efficient system. What they have is autistic. Ultimately though, their switching Realm Divide for Civil War was a bad decision. Like I said, Civil War should be the consequence of bad management. The endgame threat should be a coalition event like Realm Divide. Say, once you get to max level Imperium, every faction that isn't at near max relations with you all ally and declare war on you. Ignoring fighting over each other, excluding extreme rivalries that a clever player could exploit to stay completely hostile to you until you get down, say, to half-level Imperium. Then they will start fighting amongst themselves again since you've stopped being a threat. The point of it should be to make late game challenging to play, but at the same time something that can be manipulated and planned for. Not a random event in a random spot with a random severity. So what can I say about the campaign in conclusion? Well, I suppose the description to this video does it justice. It is an orgy of poorly implemented features that cripple the pacing. It really puts me in the mind of some of the poorer mods out there. Ones with no thought out design and are simply a large bungle of shit they shoved in that seemed like a cool idea. The campaign is bereft of an overlying design philosophy. It wasn't all made and thought out to work seamlessly together. It was just a bunch of ideas that sounded cool, so they tacked them onto the game without thinking about how it would change the game. And like I listed at the end of strategy, you can see how when it all blends together, it makes the campaign worse, not better. The campaign is not unanimously worse than Rome is, the way that the battles are. It has many good features, but what it is unanimously worse to is Shogun 2's campaign. And that's a real kicker. The DLC. Fucking hell, are you still talking? I honestly thought this was going to be the biggest problem in the game. I barely care about it anymore. Of course, the cost of the extra factions is ludicrous. $13 US for the Greek states.
Tell him he's dreaming.
There are so many factions that are screaming out cut content, Dacia, Thrace, Iberia, Bactria, to name several culture groups and factions that have tons of units that are unplayable for no reason. I mean that, no reason. There was an all factions playable mod after one day, and I would suggest it to everyone who still wants to play this game. An interesting point I discovered from it was that Seleucia had voiced units on launch. Units shouted Silver Shield Pikemen, Hellenic Cataphracts when I selected them. The much hyped free LC. That's all shit that was already in the game, you fucking clowns. Why are you trilling about how nice they are for releasing this to you? It's already in the fucking game. The cunts should have already given it to you on launch. Most of the units for the Nomadic Tribes DLC packs were already in the game, so it's them charging money to write 3 faction descriptions in the campaign selection screen, make a model of the fancy horned headpiece for the horses, then copy and paste the cataphract model from the Parthians, and switch them from playable to unplayable. Christ, ain't that just fucking value for money right there. Different people have different expectations for games though. I'm sure there were people who demanded that the Barbarian Invasion expansion was released for free too. What's the real difference? Well, in my opinion, as if that wasn't
Can't do this now.
is that downloadable content comes under 3 categories.
Oh my god,
Expansions,
don't do it.
bullshit. Let's
Don't do it.
A good DLC expansion would be something like Rise or Fall of the Samurai, things that in the old days were called expansions.
Alright,
They added new
I'm
factions
happy,
and
so
time periods
I'm
to
gonna
the
go
game
enjoy my
and
day.
genuinely
I hope
gave
you're
it a
having
new
a
dimension.
wonderful
And
summer.
when I say add factions, I mean add new ones.
What a
not
woman.
unlock old ones.
What's wrong with
Usual
her?
Fluff DLC is stuff like blood packs, music packs, or graphic packs. Small things made after the game and change nothing but the look or sound of it. You don't need them, and if you want them, they're sold cheap, and whether or not they're worth your money is determined by whether or not you want those things. The bullshit DLC, which is what they're doing, is selling things already in the game and adding literally nothing. Taking out parts of the experience, parts of a full fucking priced experience, and demanding extra for them. If they release a faction pack that added Northern Scandinavia to the map, that would be good DLC because it's adding to the game. New provinces, new factions that they made after they released the game. What they're selling isn't made later. The Greek states was on disc DLC, a part of the game they purposely separated from vanilla to entice pre-orders, then sell to the latecomers, much like the Hattori were in Shogun 2. Nomadic Tribes straddles the line of expansion and bullshit. It adds stuff to the game technically, but really not that much for $8. In the cases of Nomadic Tribes types of DLC, we reach the question, is it worth it? One bloke made a good point on the forums about DLC. Everyone ignored him. We were busy formulating measured and critical responses to Creative Assembly. I mean, come on, do you know how hard it is to write a death threat and cutouts of 10 out of 10 perfect review scores? How dare you do promo work for this shitty game, Brian? I'm coming to your house with the sheep shears. Money has a different value to everyone. Some people will spend nearly $400 on one night out. There are people who earn half as much as me but drive cars 5 times as expensive as mine. Everyone has a different definition of value, and it's up to them to decide whether a product is worth their money. All we can really say when discussing the inherent value of expansion and fluff DLC is whether it's worth it for us personally. Bullshit DLC should always be called out for what it is and detested. It is a pathetic business practice and absolutely unacceptable, and any one person who says otherwise is frankly one fucking stupid person. The Nomadic Tribes does add units. I personally hold the belief that one of those factions should have already been in the base game as well as their unique unit, as should one faction have been for each of the unique culture groups, but that applies to my definition of the value of the base game's $80 price tag. If it wasn't free for those first few weeks though, I wouldn't have gotten it. And honestly, with this mess of a game, I wouldn't bother with faction packs. They really won't do anything for it. And that's the big news, isn't it? The new expansions, Caesar and Gaul. What a fucking joke. Yeah, that'll be great. The astounding Battle of Gergovia recreated in all the brilliance of Rome 2's engine. The pivotal Battle of Elysia. Oh, wait, no. Vercingetorix left with the rest of the Averni and conquered Ireland because the AI doesn't think it can hold its last settlement. New units. Chosen swordsman, chosen spearman. Wow, it's almost as if all they've done is copy-paste assets into a different combination. Like what Radius Mod does. For fucking free. And with more units. And actual thought put into how they affect the balance. What's next? The fucking Peloponnesian Wars? Xerxes just puts all his men into transport boats and sails past Leonidas? Christ, they're actually asking people to pre-order this fucking thing. 24 turns per year? A mod was already doing that after 4 fucking days. What's taking you window-licking bludgers the 3 months? Gee, you know, I just think I'd actually have more fun buying a Happy Meal rather than these half-assed, frankly pointless expansions. Multiplayer in Rome 2 sees no new innovation.
Oh, this is good. What? What? Why is she doing it? Stupid woman.
Have fun editing that.
Go, Marcia. Kill Jack! Stupid Jack! Stupid Jack, I hate you!
Why?
Beautiful.
Oh no. What did you do?
Nothing.
He's like, oh no. I should have rest my eyes because my eyes just screaming for rest. Screaming for rest. Rest in pieces. Rest in pieces.
Nice weather. Awful weather.
All day, I started that.
Yay! It's raining!
I want to play some more Slitherio. I want to look up a restaurant for tonight, and I want to take a nap.
A nap?
Yeah, a nap.
No, no nap free. You should tell them how many times you won against me.
100. Oh, you say I have OCD? Oh god. Wasn't this one? No. This is not fair. You didn't even know it was there.
Tortellini guy.
Damn it.
Look at you.
Look at me go. I'm gonna get the last and I'm gonna kick your ass for always being such a bully. Damn it. Now you're gonna get the last. Aww. I really thought I had a chance, Marcia.
Look at that. Come here. Oh.
You were so lucky that, honestly, you have to admit it.
How does it feel to always lose?
descent from Maya for Satan. I guess that's what they call our dog.
Really, Satan?
Good old Satan.
Oh, little boy.
Time for your treatment, Maya. Edgar, if you pee in the kitchen, I will punch you in the dick. Punch in the dick.
So the little princess yesterday got surgery and she got removed 7 teeth. So I'm making her food super tiny and then I'm gonna hide this medicine. You excited, Pooh, about food? Are you? So now we're going to Felix's office. I'm driving! Get off the car! Stop!
Killer. You missed.
Got it. Do you like my umbrella?
No, oh, yeah, I love it. Of course, I love it.
Why would you say no?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I got a speaker.
Yay!
Because now I can drive you crazy.
Thank you.
Oh my god.
Scary. It's like the elevator from Disneyland. No, the
Disney.
haunted house. You know? When it goes down. Look how he made me park. Now I have to go out of this way. That cable.
Cable management?
Yeah, it's great.
Noise.
Nice.
Yeah, you like that? Minimalistic?
Yeah, I like it. Look at my setup.
Yeah.
How do I turn?
The mouse?
What? It turned too fast.
It's pretty damn cool, actually.
Going without you. Bye. Dude.
It's weird to be back here, right?
Like, it's insane.
Oh my god. Whoa. Damn. The ceiling, I think.
Yeah, the ceiling's gonna be rough.
Oh, jeez. It's pretty satisfying when you get like a good...
When you make progress.
Okay. Exciting footage. Oh, Marcia paying her parking ticket. The bad weather's just following us today. What is it doing there?
We will never know. What? It was a banana car. So cute.
That's funny. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. What third time the lasagna guy?
Like you. I used to be a YouTube commenter like you, but then I took a wumpus to the grumpus. I used to be a YouTube commenter.
Oh man.
Metro had me at. Metro had me at.
Oh man.
Spyro the Dragon is here, and everyone's favorite little purple dragon is.
Fans have been clamoring for this. I mean, everyone's been wanting to see that ever since, like you said, when Crash came out. Everyone wanted to see this, so it was a huge opportunity for us.
Said that's fantastic to have.
Cool Spyroscope actually was.
And it's super expressive. That's the other thing. I think it's like the level animation is, you know, there's a lot of personality to it. Which again, like back in the old days, just didn't have that fidelity to be able to do some of that stuff that you guys are doing now. So it's.
These are the types of games that we love to make at Toys for Bob. They're games that don't take themselves too seriously. And like I said, like back in the 90s, that was a golden age of platformers. So it's great to get that kind of resurgence.
No, Spyro, no. A little too much. A little too much boost. Got to pull back.
Are going to be a bit.
I know. This stretcher, we put the countdown clock. See how you do here.
Here we go. Here we go.
Here we go. Here's the moment. The
All
boost.
right, you got it.
Go, Kyle.
Go.
Come on, Boston.
So,
oh, so close yet so far.
Even if you had made it, that particular jump, you need to chain about 3 different ones to actually find that. So
no,
I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but maybe next time. You're going to need a little bit more practice.
Okay. Great to see you. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks.
Good work,
Thank you, Paul. This is fun.
The internet's going to love it. All right. We have just reached the.
$19.98. Oh shit. Are you kidding me? Oh my god, this game is 20 years old. Oh man.
The Swedish chef is back, everybody. Today we're gonna cook lasagna, but not just any lasagna. Dead meme lasagna a la Ugandan Knuckles, everybody. That's right, a new series, 500 parts coming. Stop zooming, I can see what you do it. Basically, I was gonna cook lasagna, and I thought, why don't we turn it into a meme? So we're gonna try and make Ugandan Knuckles out of lasagna. So let's do this! Let's freaking do this, guys! So let's do this! Okay, step 1. Wash your hands. Dab on them germs. Edit that. Step 1, we're gonna make the mince. Oh, step 1, turn on the oven. I knew that one. I've done this before, okay? If you think this is not gonna go well...
Oh shit.
Step 1, we chop the onion. Now, a lot of people don't seem to know how to chop an onion based on what I did last.
This is the third time I watched. Jesus. Crazy.
The avatar mode from Shogun 2 is gone. Instead, there's a quick battle, which is just another word for matchmaking with a time limit. Oh, no, sorry, I beg your pardon. Matchmaking on blatantly unfair maps where one side simply starts on a massive fuck-off hill, or being in a map covered in forest at night and being foggy, because seeing jack shit is so much fun. Adding to the shitty maps and infuriating weather conditions is the minuscule collection of maps. Creative Assembly really needed to actually make some more dynamic maps that had something interesting to do on them. In the custom battles, there are 8 player slots split into 2 teams. No free-for-alls and no scored resolution. Just standard last man standing. Disappointing, since one of the best parts of Rome 1's multiplayer were the massive 8-player free-for-alls. Also, you will have to play even teams, as the money total can only be decided for each player, so if there are 2 players versus 1, they flat out get double as much money. Thankfully, they finally allowed you to see what allies are building. Annoyingly though, you can't do this after you've clicked ready. As for the maps, Creative Assembly have those handmade for you, but introduced a system where you click anywhere on the map of the world and the game generates a map from that. Now this seems cool in theory, but in reality it will quickly turn into an annoying affair of clicking around until you find a map that seems fair to play on. Thankfully you can set bookmarks for cool maps you found, but the multiplayer scene is yearning for some actually designed maps that give you tons of options for you to play with. You also can't select the season or the time of day. It's night or day, then rain, fog, snow or dry. I like doing sunset battles in winter. It's really sad I can't do this. There isn't time period selection, and as for multiplayer...
Sure.
There are so many reasons why.
Empire. If you know anything about it, you're in one or 2 camps. It was a...
Frankery? It'll cramp up your hands pretty quickly.
Kirby, did you get low height?
No, I missed it.
Okay.
If you're trying it for like more than a minute, it'll start to get pretty bad.
Jumping in this game is way harder than Super
Not really. I'm not sure exactly.
It's just different.
It's easy.
This video is a critique of Total War Rome 2 that we'll go through. Some people have given up even on the possibility of Rome 2 ever being fixed, citing things like the game engine of Warscape being ironically completely inappropriate for the class.
Fast. It'll cramp up your hands pretty quickly.
Kirby, did you get low height?
No, I missed it.
Okay.
Is it the
If
same?
you're trying it for like more than a minute.
Keep it coming, guys.
Keep it coming.
campaign, it's still only 2 players, and the other faction's turn time is almost triple that of single player, so only the patient will be able to play it. One incredibly useful feature is the ability to draw on the map with red, green and blue for communication with your allies. Yeah, important communication. Another gripe of mine is that you have to take a general in your army, so it's impossible to test units against each other with the AI. It's also unstable as hell. I'm getting desyncs all the time, lag for most of the rest. I can't say for certain how well balanced it is, frankly I don't care. I've heard patch 7 has mangled the balance so badly you need to play it with a balance mod. If you do care, I'll give a shout out to Zeript. He literally tests everything off against each other, and he's probably the best bet for figuring out the balance. Fuck, what else? Too many factions look almost the same colour. Iceni, Egypt, Rome, Suibo. It's actually difficult to
a large
distinguish
majority
them
of
in the
players have
same
moved on
battle.
from Run 2 and
Chat
forgotten
is
about
good
it.
and bad. There's tons of chat rooms that are easily accessible from the entirety of the game, even from single player. That's a really good feature. However, there's no separate modes in the multiplayer game for team chat and all chat, so you have to talk to your team one at a time via personal messages. Whilst it doesn't have the breadth and depth of what I outlined it needed.
Hello, my fellow Rome 2 players. Zarip here with the second.
But most importantly for multiplayer is the asymmetric
3 years
gameplay.
ago.
Rome was the only Total War that truly had every faction work differently. The tactics you used in a battle with Macedon were different for the ones you used with Seleucia. What is it with all these weird names? Can't these places have proper names? Like Dundaraban, or Chalora, Galagambine. Pikemen against Rome, you know you have to phalanx charge. Greek states against Seleucia, I'll have to keep some Spartans in reserve to protect my rear from cataphracts and elephants, take my hoplites out of guard mode, and crush his pikemen quickly. Every other Total War you played the same way tactically with each faction, barring pro MLG bunny hop strats and Shogun 2's fucked multiplayer. Does Rome 2 emulate that? Yes it does. Each of the Pike kingdoms do play differently, as do the barbarians in the east, but the degree to which these factions can interplay is crippled by the stripped battle mechanics. Music, sound, and overall polish. There are barely any movies in the game, a token pathetic handful. These are the points when you realise how unfinished a game is. Comparison time. Let's compare how both games kickstart the experience for the first time you play it.
Oh man, it's actually funny.
Capo is in. I call upon tribunes Gaius Julius and Decius Brutus to smash the Gauls and relieve Tarquinii. All those in favor say aye.
This is actually good.
Wow. So we get short and concise background information with invigorating music and scenes of battles and carnage, tantalizing the player with what the game has to offer. Then we transition smoothly to the Senate with a powerful speech that they recorded in an echoing chamber so it sounds like you're there in the Senate with him, cutting away to show footage of the plagues besetting Rome.
The money they paid. Many people have completely given up on the likelihood of Rome 2 ever being fixed and reaching the dazzling heights they imagined, and that the legacy of this series demands of this game. Some people have given up even on the possibility of Rome 2 ever being fixed, citing things like the game engine of Warscape being ironically completely inappropriate for the classical antiquity style infantry combat of Rome 2, the constant simulation of which would be its primary fucking task. Total War Rome 2. Rome. Roman infantry. Infantry. Even more still, think the problems are so inherent to the basal design choices of the game, or so dogmatically insisted upon and maintained by the developers,
He's really
that
Scottish.
they will not be changed out of pure principle. For all I know, those arguments may all be correct.
He's
The
really
game was
Scottish.
neglected, and I mean really neglected, and I don't mean neglected as in they ran out of time and rushed it, or that they spent too much of the budget on marketing, or that they recklessly shipped the game with bugs and issues. I don't mean that, even though I think all of that is true. I mean the amount of passion and care that went into this game was relatively minuscule, if any at all. If you don't know what I mean yet, or just don't want to believe me, I'll try to give an example to illustrate. Rome 2 is a strategy game. Strategy games largely involve making decisions that rely on situational awareness.
What is happening
They're about
there?
collecting advantages and denying advantages to your enemy. Noticing that your enemy has mostly bows and that there are
What is
trees
this?
nearby that you can use for protection is a strategic
What
decision.
is this?
Subsequently utilising that to your advantage to pull off a relatively clean victory is a classic Total War moment. It is the same when you notice a hill and win the race to the top, and then win a gritty infantry battle against a tired enemy who's fighting uphill while projectiles rain down from above with amplified lethality. I do this in every battle where possible, amounting to thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of times over the past 13 years. Some of my most ridiculous and memorable victories were aided by or dependent upon the height advantage. The first Total War video I ever uploaded was not to YouTube, it was to Xfire, and it showed an entire Holy Roman Empire army being destroyed by a few units of Genoese crossbow militia in the valleys of the Alps in Medieval 2. Classic Total War moment that I still remember after many years. If there's anything you do in any real-time strategy game by default, it's take the high ground. It's been an integral part of Total War since the original Shogun back in the year 2000. I remember I played the tutorial and that was the ultimate lesson. Take the high ground. It's the first thing an average player's mind when the loading screen is replaced by the deployment phase. He looks around the map for a hill, and if he finds one, that hill is the central premise of his entire battle plan. That is how he wins the battle. This idea is ubiquitous throughout RTS in general. Age of Empires from 1997, one of the first games I ever played and I'm able to cite, implemented this. It can be found in Sun Tzu's The Art of War, which was probably the actual manual used to design the Total War model of battle. Sun Tzu was explicitly cited at least once in the tutorial of the original game. The first ever 3D RTS and one of the finest games ever crafted was Homeworld, and that was set in space and encouraged players to attack from above with combat bonuses and malices. It's still intuitive even when there's no gravity. It goes to the essence of basic strategy and emerges as an effective strategy even when the game doesn't directly reward it. So you would think that Rome 2 would have the high ground advantage implemented. Rome 2 is the latest and biggest and best game in a stalwart series of strong strategy games. You'd think that despite all its failings and shortcomings it would have managed to do this properly. Of all things, units on the high ground should have the advantage over units on the low ground.
Now guys, you know what happened when you have these strange fights, where you get positional advantage, you get into fight, you have all advantages you can, and it's not working for you.
This is the most poignant and profound example that I'm aware of that shows just how cruel the developers were to this poor game. 2 years of development, hundreds of thousands of man-hours of exposure to this project for those developers, I'd like to think, and not a single one of them was ever in a situation where they were able to conceive of the fact that right under their nose in the midst of everything else, the combat was fundamentally broken in a fundamental way. It isn't like they just forgot to add it or thought they did, then you could put it down to placebo or something. It was completely reversed. We just got a patch after a month of complaining that fixed it, and not a word on how the hell this ridiculous bullshit managed to come to pass. It seems like I am the only one making this point. There should have been an outcry because this is just completely ridiculous to me. Regardless of how this happened in the first place, not a single developer working on this game was able and willing to fix this, and so it wasn't fixed and it shipped with the game. If they just weren't aware until we noticed and told them, they were completely inept in the worst possible way. If they were aware but didn't fix it and decided to ship, they're just completely unforgivably negligent and don't give a shit about what they're giving their customers. They have no quality assurance.
At least incompetent, and maybe, just maybe, doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit, which I admire in a person and which would explain a lot of these bad results.
Okay, you might say, so they somehow fucked up a fundamental aspect of the gameplay which they then fixed after a long and painful month, you might say. You might even argue that the developers can't really be blamed for this oversight because their job is only to quickly assemble the game on a budget and with a deadline and as part of a team, and then take feedback from customers to fix the game as quickly as possible. There will be mistakes, they weren't really inept. Maybe they just aren't hardcore gamers or rigorous testers and it somehow slipped under the radar. It happens. Maybe you're just being too harsh and nitpicky and blowing this reversal way out of proportion.
Oh man, I don't care. I don't care anymore. Not uploading anymore or what? She got tired. She got tired. She got tired. Sleepy, little sleepy. I got little sleepy. I got little sleepy. That's why I did go.
As he describes them, with the music building up to a crescendo in perfect synchronization with the climax of his own speech, which ends with you damn near shouting "I" along with the rest of the senators because it is built up to saying what you are doing and why you are doing it. What do I feel at the end of Rome 2's intro? Oh, are they? That's really interesting, Mark. All your halting sentences have just thrilled me to the bone. So that's a fucked up intro. Maybe when I actually start the game, they'll have done a better job. I know. Let's play as the Germans, the most feared barbarians of the civilized world. This
will make your rivals more open. Federation. Baby leadership. The people of Germania will rise up and crush their enemies.
If they're over the age of 4, they need to fucking kill themselves.
Before my grandfather's grandfather was born, this was our land. These are good places. Our gods live here, in the trees and rivers. They watch over us. We are happy. We hunt. We love. We have families, homes, a good life. But sometimes we must fight. The Romans disturb the gods. They burn the forests. They take what is ours, wives, children, land. And the Romans talk of how they will help us and protect us. They put us to sleep with golden promises. When we wake, all we had is gone, stolen. They take our sons and turn them into little Romans. Ha! So we fight to keep what is ours. What must stay ours. There can be no peace. No peace with Romans, men of stone and iron and lies. There can be only war.
If you need me to explain the difference to you between those two intros, give up right now on being in any way a creative or interesting person. Battle noises for metal and clashing is okay, but the chunky splats, screams and crunches from Rome 1 are sorely missed. The new versions are more realistic, you say? You'll fucking turn your nose up at engaging sound effects but let flaming javelins and war dogs pass? I don't fucking care which sandals the Egyptians are wearing or whether or not the clashes were recorded off authentic bronze armour. What I want to hear is the sound of someone having a seriously shit day at the other end of a battle axe. It's all generic background shouting, intercut with someone slapping a sack. The horns blowing with each order you give is a great touch. Always reminds me of the...
Man, this is beautiful.
And that brings...
It's Simon!
Nah.
Of the Rohirrim, but I wish there was more than just one horn for every single unit in the game, and that the hornblower was actually in the unit. I should also note how much I love that all the Celts and Germans are significantly taller than the Romans. A really nice touch. Also, believe it or not, there is a shit ton of rage coming over that decision. Mostly from dirty Italians. But you can't blame CA for that. It's an argued point in history how much the heights of humans varied. How much protein you eat as a child affects how tall you will grow. Personally, I liked it. If you don't, there's already a mod that fixes it, and one that makes the Spartans naked like in 300. The combatants shouting and screaming at each other and at the enemy is a great addition, even if it is pretty fucking corny. His lines. Over a long period of gameplay, you will begin to despise him.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Mark?
Thank you, Mark. Lay down, you bastard.
This is a shameful display.
I've seen more lively performances in morgues. The other actors doing lines in this have done a really cringeworthy job. And I keep hearing that tweet from Rally Point too.
We survived D3. Yeah, that was fantastic. Big congrats to the whole team on that one. Is it late? Oh, sweet Jesus!
Did you just pull random staff members into a back room to record all this audio? You can tell that because they confuse acting with screaming. What happened to the guy who did the barbarian voices in Rome 1? He was awesome.
This is a great victory. The cries of dying enemies are sweet music to our warriors.
Well, that Roman 13-year-old, his voice was breaking.
Yeah.
God be praised. The enemy's hearts are full of fear and now they flee.
The voices for each
I love it, I love it.
Year-old, his voice.
Enemies are sweet music to our warriors.
Well, that Roman 13-year-old, his voice was breaking.
The gods be praised. The enemy's hearts are full of fear and now they flee.
The voices for each unit are meant to bring each faction to life. I wouldn't mind if the voices were stereotypical. Stereotypes are at least distinguishable. Almost every faction sounds the exact same. The only way to distinguish between them is that the soldiers say the name of the faction that they belong to. I don't care if I click on a German soldier and he goes, "Oh, hello, Savochi, we're going to have schnitzel now, yeah?" It brings some life into the game. And speaking of life, the worst for last music. It's fucking atrocious. Absolutely fucking pathetic. I couldn't hum it back to you if you asked me to. That's how bad it is. Bland, uninspired shit straight out of
Oh,
Empire. No,
man.
it's worse than Empires, which isn't surprising since they got that composer back to compose for this game. Fucking great. The horrendous handling of the music has really struck a horrible blow to this game's theme and tone. The game is a mile worse for the lack of it. Not bringing Jeff Van Dyke back to remix his original songs is so disappointing. I shouldn't have to explain how dramatically important music is for evoking feelings in the viewer. It strikes a primal part of each human in such a powerful way. It's really the only way this sort of game can evoke emotions in you because of its dehumanizing nature. And if it doesn't, and if you don't care about what's happening, then you won't enjoy the game. Whether it's Rome 1's marching theme that hyped you up, or Medieval Kingdom's jaw-dropping battle epic, the point of the themes is that they excite you. The music in Rome 2 simply doesn't, and that's a real failure. In summary, Rome 2's battles are sad. less detailed, harder to manage, and most importantly, tactically weaker. It even looks uglier. For all the fucking graphics and boring scripted animations, it's still uglier. Simply seeing two units of men clash realistically, move normally, fight like humans, always wins over a horde of well-animated ants on meth. I'm bored of managing a dumbed-down version of the campaign that's equally as weak in its limitations as it is frustrating in its execution, where the strategy is sidelined for a campaign experience that is a slow, tedious grind, challengeless grind, against an electric grindstone that every now and then turns off, forcing you to go and turn it back on again to keep plodding onwards. A multiplayer experience that is crippled by its inferior battles, terrible maps, non-existent variety, and unplayable desyncs. A multiplayer campaign so slow that it is literally unplayable. With all this being said, will you enjoy the game? If the optimization problems are resolved, the worst bugs and the flat-out brain-dead AI is fixed, then, if you've never heard of Total War before, it will blow your mind and you'll adore it. If you've been playing Total War since Empire, you will find this game to be a reasonable progression of the series, in all that that entails, but you will find it substantially worse than Shogun 2. But, for those of us who've been playing since the first Shogun, Medieval or Rome, this game will only disappoint. It has been 10 years. 10 years since the first Rome shocked the RTS world. And all that's changed in the game is the campaign map. All the innovation has been in trying to compete with Europa Universalis, but you'll never succeed. Total War has never been about the campaign. The campaign was there to serve the battles and make you invested in them, and it's not doing that. The game could have done just as well if the campaign was just a series of amazingly designed battles framing a cool story like the 3 Punic Wars or Caesar and Augustus. They're spending all this time and effort into revolutionizing the campaign, but the battles have not seen a single big innovation in the last 10 years. They
That's
are
why I
not
was
bigger.
playing.
They are getting less complex. With every new iteration, we lose features, and the ones they replace them with are less interesting, less detailed, or worse. Everything that made Total War great, the size,
Oh,
the tactics, the
he's saying
options,
so much
is
true.
slowly fading away with each new game. Slowly it's becoming duller, less challenging, less interesting. This has been an hour and a half talking
It's
about
got
all
Britannia,
the strict
right?
features from previous Total Wars. God for
You
fucking
see?
bid we start talking about the swarms of defects that have been hovering around this series since it
Who is
started.
even playing this
After
game?
10 years they should be adding features, adding game modes, polishing and perfecting, enhancing the simulations, supersizing the battles. Since Empire, it's been considered a mark of accomplishment if CA makes a game that doesn't cut gameplay. So what happened? There's a theory running around that these games are getting, as the marketing fellows say, streamlined so as to be ported to next-gen consoles, and to be more accessible to a wider demographic. In real terms, jettisoning every good feature that earned them the smaller but dedicated fanbase, in turn for the hope of getting lots of casuals to buy the game. To which I can only reply, cause that worked real well for Supreme Commander 2, didn't it? Maybe you should ask Chris Taylor what he's been up to recently. Oh wait, failing Kickstarters. Do you know how I found Total War? When I was 5 and being struck dumb at seeing 400 individual soldiers on the battlefield. Do you know how people recommend Total War? In this game, you control thousands of soldiers, fighting against thousands of other soldiers, from the legions of Rome, to the knights of Europe, to Napoleon's
This has no
regiments. There is not one
aliases.
fucking person on the planet who recommended Total War to a friend saying, dude, the game's really streamlined. This idiotic concept that a game will sell more simply by making it more simplistic and bland is just so aggravating. There is a real difference, CA, in a game that's hard to play and a game that's hard to learn. And Total War is not a hard game to play, and for fuck's sakes, I was playing it when I was 5, it can't be that fucking hard to learn. All dumbing the game down will do is make everyone who enjoyed the strategy leave. I remember once them explaining how it wasn't worth the time and money to implement hot seat campaigns again, or greater than 2-player multiplayer campaigns, because relatively no one plays them. And to that I say, how many people can run the game at full graphics? How many people zoom in to look at facial animations or kill moves in the combat, when generally they have more pressing things to do? It was so hyped that you had the largest budget you've ever worked with. Why'd you use it to introduce stupid features no one uses?
Yeah, I want to remove.
Graphics you will only notice when you have nothing to do in the battles. Why are you using it to make the game less interesting, less engaging, less unique? Personally though, I don't believe that they made it this way for consoles. This game is still far too complicated to play with a controller. I think this game was just released before they were ready. Sega forcing it out the door. Whilst that depressing reason explains the bugs, optimization and polish, it doesn't explain why they made so many stupid design decisions. And originally I thought that was because it was the consequence of a rushed out bad idea. Then Al-Qamar shared an insight into the Rome 2 team from the credits of Metacritic. 21 programmers, including that clown McKinley, had never coded a game on Metacritic before. Go and check them out. If this is true, then this game was made by inexperienced amateurs. But I have no idea whether that's true or not. I can't vouch for how accurate it is, and I don't want to believe it. The way that I don't want to believe that it's Creative Assembly's fault for the state of this game. There is one last explanation for what caused this game to fail, and it was one I hadn't considered, and it was given by Volund in his video, A Treatise on Rome 2. And it's the belief that the game was not a product of a bad publisher or an inexperienced team. It's the belief that the game was truly made by people who didn't care. And after I heard his argument, and saw the damning examples he gave, I saw the exact same parallels running through so many other examples he gave. I saw the exact same parallels running through so many other aspects that I hated out of this game. But I won't steal the words from his mouth. He came across this truly depressing realization, and to his video, examples he gave, I saw the exact same parallels running through so many other aspects that I hated out of this game. But I won't steal the words from his mouth. He came across this truly depressing realization, and to his video you will go to hear it. We don't rehash one point. Please go and watch his video too, it will be linked in the description. They've announced their weekly patches, which have fixed a few things at best, but like I've said, they can't fix the core of what's wrong with this game. And given how little time and what constrained conditions they released it in, how can they afford to patch this to any playable level, when they obviously need all the time they can get for their next release? My guess is that they will do the same they did with Empire, patch what they can in some small period of time, then cut their losses and bail. I'm guessing they'd have to, otherwise risk their next game being even worse on release, barring Sega having a flash of actual reason. But honestly, what can they make next? Remaking any previous games with the engine they have will generally be worse, and they've shown they no longer have the ability to manage a game of this scale anymore. The only recent thing they've done well was Shogun, which was tiny. Their engine is crippling them, and their publisher is killing them. All the bullshit DLC decisions, all the horrific launches, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and wager that all the fucking streamlining is coming directly from those cunts. This is not the death of Creative Assembly. Streamlining launches, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here. Bullshit DLC decisions, all the horrific launches, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here and wager that all the fucking streamlining is coming directly from those cunts. This is not the death of Creative Assembly or Total War. Identical to there being no pivotal fall of the Roman Empire, which simply faded, or perhaps a better adjective would be rotted, away to nothing. This downward trend can be stopped, but whether or not it will, that's up to Sega and Creative Assembly. There will be more games, but if this sort of pervading shittiness continues, Total War will die. I end this review simply sad, because I see this series fading away, and all me and other fans are left with is broken promises and a sad shell of a game that only highlights its own failings. The serious problems of Rome 2, not the bugs, optimization, or glitches,
What is happening?
the
Are they
core
dying?
mechanics are not
Oh my
things that
god, this
can
is
be
so
fixed.
ridiculous.
They can't fix battles that are crippled by their engine, and they can't fix a campaign that's built around absurd limitations. Not to a degree where it can be said it succeeded as a sequel. A proper sequel is one that makes the original unplayable.
Yeah.
Mass Effect 2 was an improvement over 1 in every single way, to the point where the first became painful to play just because of how great the sequel was. Rome 2 is not better than Rome 1, and I'm not talking through rose-tinted vision of one of the extensive mods. Vanilla Build 1.0 Rome 1 is better.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! I hate you! I loved you!
Metacritic, yeah.
It's true that when it's looked at isolated, Rome 2 is a good game. The same way that Empire was a good game. And when looked at by itself, it is an amazing experience, and a truly unique one among gaming. The heart of what makes Total War is still here. The size and horror of ancient warfare, it never left. Rome 2 is fun to play, but every time that I sit down to play it, every battle, through every turn, I see how Rome 1 was better. Not unanimously, but ultimately. They are all a part of Total War. Whilst
Nice structure. Oh man. If you see the games, there's no games in past 5 years besides The Witcher and Divinity. It's funny.
Tell me who you found them on.
Nah. Not my type. Are you fucking kidding? They didn't do a like game in the past 5 years, which will Okami HD, what the fuck? What? Why did you rate it so much? What? Overwatch. Solid 5. I need to log in.
Sombra?
Fuck off. Why is it so loud? Yeah. Yeah. (2017). Let's start with 2015. What is this garbage? Civilization 6, what are you talking about? This game is garbage. Where is this garbage game? There it is. Where is this garbage game? I need to rewrite a review. I feel sad. It's boring game. That's it. No. Are you fucking kidding me? Why would you? Would I? Wait. Is somebody still playing Coupon of Heroes? Are you fucking crazy? What? What is this? Are you even playing this game, fools? No. Train of Rage. Oh my god, this garbage game. Jesus Christ. What is this garbage? Tell me I wrote a review about it. I'm genuinely frustrated after buying this game. They are billions. This is bad game. Or games. Vietnam. What is this? Man of War Assault Squad. I don't know what I don't know what to think about this game. No. Where's the Day of Infamy? No. I like MP40. It's like the rest. I can't write this review. It's garbage. I can't write garbage review. I mean, for a garbage game, there will be a garbage review, but for no. I still have 800 hours in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. No, man. 800 hours. Are you fucking kidding me?
Empire has its unique setting to make me still want to play it every now and then. Rome 2 has nothing. Nothing to keep me playing it. This game is worse than Rome 1. This game no longer interests me. This game is worse than Empire.
What is the 10? Where are the most positive, I mean, most helpful reviews? I want most helpful reviews instead of, oh my god.
Oh, please, don't leave me. Don't leave me.
Yeah, funny. Rival, what? Oh, I think I remember this game, but I got bored by it, so no, I didn't finish it. It was so like blank a while. No, I want it again. She's fast. She's good. I remember she was saying Nintendo Switch. She had, I don't know, 3DS or Nintendo Switch. She had all this shit. How big is it in my hands? I want to see how big is in my hands. No, just in my hands. Oh, that's how you do it. Or you can just touch screen. I get it. Pet Peter trips. Nice. I want some more. uh. Um. Din din Only one hand. Oh my god. It's really this? That's funny. I don't wanna watch anything on YouTube really. I got copyrighted so many, like 3 times already. Banned for it. Because I used some copyright content thing. And I'm afraid of it. Again. Blocked in all countries. It's like, it's a thin line. I'm just going on a thin line. Right there. What? What? Full of bullshit? Wow. Wow. So it's a garbage game, that's it. Even if it's free weekend, nobody's playing. Oh man. But is it for free? I don't care if it's for free. If it's garbage. I think it's for free right now. Purchased so they released this game for free to get new players. But I played it and I didn't like it. I think it's boring and a bullshit game. Not worth it. My god. Go away, Steam, go away. You drunk. Sluts. What is up, going? What? 12 cents? I didn't hear about this game too much. What? Nobody's playing. Oh, the garbage game. Oh man. The price is so big. So high, I mean. Like, look at The Witcher 3. Like, can't compare it. Just can't compare. 8,000 still. Nice, nice Steam. Yeah. It's insane. I mean, they are making from you as much money as possible. This is sad, actually. What is this?
In 2077, they voted my city the worst place to live in America.
Really? Are you kidding me? With the hacking, yeah. Roach looks real weird with wheels. It's the beauty of being an independent studio and being your own publisher, of course. Okay. A single player role playing game, are you nuts? Yeah. FIFA makes billions a year? Oh my god. Yeah, make. No, I want now. What? Who the fuck is this guy? The fuck is this guy? Jesus. He's not playing games. He doesn't even fucking care. What? Give me Reddit information. Who cares if it's garbage? It's making so much money. Oh man. Okay. That's funny. Okay, I'm done. Hey guys.